the top 10 reasons for failing the driving test in the UK. These are not my top 10 reasons, but the official DVSA reasons taken from literally hundreds of thousands of failed tests. These statistics were published in 2021. Reason number 1, the most common reason for failing the driving test in the UK, which seems to be the most common every year, is not making effective observations at junctions. The DVSA claim that a common cause of failure at junctions is pulling out in front of people and making them slow down. When you're pulling out of a junction, you need to have good enough judgment that you know whether or not you're going to make the cars approaching brake for you. If you make them brake a small amount, you may get away with it, but if you continue to do it, you will most likely fail. If you make them brake a lot, then you will most likely fail straight away. This is not just T-junctions, but all junctions, including roundabouts or even turning right at traffic lights with oncoming cars. Another common cause of failure for observations at junctions is simply not observing at all. Often happens in situations like this where it looks like you can carry on straight and the only way you know you need to give way is via the lines on the road. Many new drivers simply sail straight across a junction like this without looking both left and right for cars that could be approaching. Of course, this would result in a test fail. People also fail for not making any observations for joining a dual carriageway via a slip road. That's even more scary. Link to a video in the top right hand corner of your screen on joining motorways and dual carriageways via a slip road. Another reason is only looking right, not left, when turning left. Many new drivers do this because they're worried about what's coming from the right. However, to pull out with only looking right is dangerous because anyone on the left could still be coming. They could be overtaking parked cars, or there could even be someone crossing the road on the left. So make sure you look both ways when you're turning left, not just right. And the final reason they give for failing on observations at junctions is looking too late. And what they mean by that is simply going past the line before you start checking. Make sure you start checking it's safe before you cross the line at the junction. Number 2, the second most common cause of failing is not using mirrors correctly when changing direction. The DVSA say this is often a problem on roundabouts because when you're turning right at a roundabout, you're normally in the right lane. But when you need to leave a roundabout, quite often you need to move to the left lane and you need to check your mirrors to make sure it's safe before you change lane. And apparently, many people forget to do that. The DVSA also say it's quite common to fail the test for trying to change lane without making effective observations on normal roads, not just roundabouts. For example, here, you've got to check your mirrors before you change lane and make sure you don't make anyone coming up beside you brake. Number 3, not having proper control of the steering. And you can be forgiven for believing that means keeping your hands at 10 to 2 and moving the steering wheel in some particular manner. But in actual fact, the examiners are very relaxed with how you use the wheel. How you use the steering wheel is rarely the problem. It's usually either turning too little, too much, too early, or too late. A classic example is hitting the curb when you turn left. Learners get too near the curb, steer too much, and then mount the curb with the rear wheel. Another example is turning too late, and that means you can end up going on the wrong side of the road and needing to swan neck to come back to your side of the road. As long as you keep both hands on the steering wheel as much as possible and maintain good control of the wheel when using it, how you use it is not that important. It's how much you steer and when you steer that counts. Link in the top right hand corner of your screen for steering tips at junctions. Number 4 is incorrect positioning when turning right at junctions. This is usually to do with positioning to the left when you're turning right. A good example is not using one of these waiting areas in the middle properly, either only half going in or not going in at all. Waiting in the middle here allows people space to pass on the left. Another example is at a mini roundabout where you have room to position yourself to the right when turning right, which allows room for cars to pass you on your left. If there's room for you to do this, you should. You will also fail for this fault if you turn right at a roundabout and use the incorrect lane. Now it's time for number 5, which is not moving off safely. One way people fail for this is trying to move away from the side of the road with an oncoming car and there's not room for both you and the oncoming car. If that's the case, you should wait for the oncoming car to clear before you get going. This can also happen when moving away from the wrong side of the road with oncoming traffic. Don't make people brake or swerve when you're moving away. People also fail for not moving off safely if they don't check the relevant blind spot before moving away. You want to check the roadside blind spot. So if you're on the right hand side of the road like I am now, I'll check the left blind spot, but normally you're going to be on the left hand side of the road in UK, then you'll be checking the right hand blind spot. You won't fail for missing a blind spot or two, but if you repeatedly don't check your blind spots, you will fail. You also fail for this fault if you don't make any rearward checks after your emergency stop. When you've done the emergency stop, the examiner will then ask you to carry on. Before you carry on, check both blind spots because you're no longer parked next to the curb. Number 6, not responding appropriately to traffic lights. Some ways people fail at traffic lights is for either not going when it's green or going when it's red, not waiting in the middle for oncoming cars as these cars are now, they simply drive in front of them and make them brake. That's quite a common mistake actually. Or when there is an opportunity for that red car in front of me to turn right because there's a brake in the cars, they don't take the opportunity. The examiners don't expect you to take the hard ones, only the easy ones. Also, going ahead at a green light when your exit road is blocked and therefore you're going to be stuck in the middle indefinitely. You should just wait. Once you've got a green arrow, the oncoming cars will stop and you can continue. The light went amber as I was crossing the line there. If that happens, carry on. Another common cause of failure at traffic lights is not stopping at the first line on the cycle box. I call them cycle boxes because it makes sense. They're actually called advanced stop lines, but you should stop at the first line here, not the last. You can stop at the last if it goes amber as you're crossing the first and you don't have time to cross the second line before it goes red. In that situation, it's okay. I actually have a video I put a lot of time into for how people fail on traffic lights. I'll leave a link to it in the top right hand corner of your screen. Number 7, poor positioning on the road during normal driving. Here are 3 ways you can fail on this fault. Not staying in the middle of your lane. It's quite normal for learners to be really left of their lane. Being in the right lane of a dual carriageway when there's no reason for you to be there. For example, you're not about to turn right and you're not overtaking. Or straight lining a roundabout, which is when you don't stay in your lane on the roundabout and you end up cutting people up. Here is an example. I get to the roundabout, I must steer to the left to stay in my lane. If I go straight across where the white car is, I'll be cutting people up. Number 8, not responding correctly to traffic signs. Here are a few ways you can fail for this fault. One is not responding to a stop sign or a no entry sign. That one's all the way up there in the sky, which I think is quite ridiculous. When you get to a stop line with a stop sign, you should actually come to a complete stop. You can't just give way. Another is going right of a keep left sign. Here's a keep left sign. We should go past on the left, not the right. Same here where the island is. We should be passing this island on the left where the keep left sign is, not on the right of it. Another is driving in bus lanes and bus gates during their hours of operation. For example, there's signs here saying that only buses, taxis, motorbikes and cyclists can go. It says bus gate on the road there as well. So I can't go forwards, therefore I have to go up there. The DVSA say people also fail on this fault for choosing the wrong lane at a roundabout when the signs are very clear, making it obvious which lane you need. And also people fail on this fault for not responding to speed limit signs early enough, if at all. Now it's time for number 9, not having control of the vehicle when moving off. People often fail on this fault for stalling. Not stalling once or twice during the course of your test, but repeatedly stalling many times throughout your test, or repeatedly stalling in a short period of time. For example, you're at a traffic light, it goes green, and you just keep stalling, and it takes you many attempts to get the car moving. The DVSA say that another common reason people fail on this fault is for rolling back. And they say the reason why they roll back is because they forget to select a gear. So they put the clutch down, get some gas ready, lift the clutch up thinking they have the bite point, when obviously there's no bite point there at all. You can't have the bite point without a gear. They make sure it's safe to move away, and then they take the handbrake off, the car starts rolling back, they come off the clutch completely, rev the engine, don't actually go anywhere, and roll back considerably. If you roll back a tiny bit during your driving test, then you will still most likely pass. But if you roll back what they deem as a considerable amount, then you will fail. What is a considerable amount though? Well, that's the opinion of the examiner. So best to avoid all rolling back. And finally, we've made it to number 10 of the top 10. Not keeping control of the vehicle during reverse parking. When the DVSA say control, they don't only mean control, they also mean accuracy. So you can fail for lack of control during your maneuver. For example, you're parking on a hill and the car keeps rolling the wrong way and you're not able to manage that hill. But you can also fail for lack of accuracy. For example, taking too many attempts to finish parking, or when you're doing your parallel park, you mount the curb, or when you're parking in a car park, you don't keep it in between the lines. If you're crooked or touch one of the lines, then you should still pass. But if you're over one of the lines, then you will fail. The examples I've used in this video for the top 10 reasons for failing the driving tests in the UK are not just examples I've plucked from thin air, but they are the actual official DVSA examples. DVSA being the Driver and Vehicle Standards Agency, who are the people who do the test. Well, I hope this video helps you understand what causes most people to fail the driving test in the UK. If you think it does, please give it a thumbs up and check out Collingwood and Confused in the description. If you're learning to drive and want to insure yourself on somebody else's car, go to Collingwood. Via the link, there's up to 35% off and a £20 Amazon gift card. Using Collingwood is great because you can insure yourself on somebody else's car without affecting their policy, which makes it much easier for the supervisor of that car, the owner of that car, to supervise you without being too scared of losing their no claims bonus. If you want to insure your own car, check out confused.com. Fill out one quote form and get loads of quotes back to find out who's cheapest. And you can change the car on that quote as many times as you like if you're thinking about which car to buy, so you can find out how much it costs to insure different cars. Using those links doesn't cost you anything, but it does support this channel, so thank you very much. Check out Facebook and Instagram if you wish. They're both Conquer Driving, and subscribe to get my future videos. And until the next one, cheerio.